Hello, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, and whoever else on whatever social media this gets shared on. Hello, and welcome to my crazy little corner of the internet. I'd like to welcome you to the Starving Artist Compendium, hosted by yours truly, Kat Loveland. I am a self-published author. I am trying to provide an outlet for my fellow starving artists, actors, illustrators, comic strip writers, models, singers, whoever else I can come across in my dealings on Facebook. Trying to provide an outlet for them to kind of get their story out, have some fun, share some links, and all in all, have a great hour and a half-ish or so of just enjoyable conversation, talking about what inspires them, what things we have in common, what things they despise, all that good stuff. So the very first ever guest is Mark Rothweiler. He creates an interesting, fun little strip called Mental Gremlins. And we bonded over Stephen Amell's Facebook page. So you'll hear that story in the interview. You'll see on the screen, I'm actually putting up the comic that he shared on Stephen Amell's page, and one of my favorite ones. So you'll see that here. And we have about an hour conversation. It's a lot of fun, lots of laughs. We get into his inspirations. We get into Batman versus Superman, the worst thing you can ever hear about your favorite comic book character, and lots of other cool things as well. So I'm really hoping that you take the time to watch this and share it among your friends. And as I mentioned, I am a self-published author. Here's my little shameless plug. On Amazon, I have a book called Honor-Bound Awakenings. It's in the urban paranormal genre. I have several characters that have some unique abilities, and they're sort of going out in the world and helping to keep other people with unique abilities from being sold on the black market. It's getting a lot of really good reviews on Amazon, and it's really interesting. And book 2 of the series will be out the end of June, hopefully, knock on wood. I'm also writing a retelling of the fall of Adam and Eve, Lilith, and Lucifer that I'm hoping will be out sometime in September-y, October-y. And I'm going to post a link to my website, so there's everything there. The Amazon page has the first 2 chapters up free for you to view. So please, if you have some time, take a look at that. I'd really appreciate it. I also have a Patreon page. If you like my vlogs and you like kind of my concept behind this series, you go over there. You can go ahead and support me if you'd like. I will try to get either a vlog or a typed up written interview up every week from some of my creative type friends. And if you are a creative type friend and you want to be interviewed by yours truly, please do shoot me a message on Facebook or Twitter. I'll post all the links in the about page on the YouTube page, so you can contact me if you'd like me to sit down and spend an hour or so talking to you and kind of spreading your unique view in the world. So hopefully you like this, and take it away, Mark. Thanks.
Yay! And we're like recording and stuff now.
Oh, nice. This is literally the 3rd time I've ever used any kind of Skype or video chat, so I'm stubbornly behind the times on technology.
You're allowed. I like your pictures in the background there, bud.
Well, thank you. Just random crap I've accumulated and won't throw away.
Well, that's the best way to do it, is accumulate crap and don't throw away. Inspiration.
Right. Actually, if I can get it down.
Mm-hmm.
These are a bit better than the pictures.
Oh, nice.
It's the amount of Batman stuff I have in here is pathetic. I'm not even kidding.
So is this the official Mental Gremlins lair?
Well, partially. I actually do have a smaller room in the back that I set up as an art room, but there's absolutely no air circulation in there, so I don't draw in there very often.
Ah, so this is lair part 2 with air conditioning.
Exactly.
The new and improved lair.
This is the brainstorm part of the lair.
Cool. Well, you were my first official guest.
Fantastic.
So if this like horribly goes horrible, then I'll just edit it and make it look good. Don't worry.
I trust you.
So we'll start with the basic questions. So I'm
Okay.
going to quick intro. Hi, everybody. This is Mark. Mark, say hi.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome to my first official, I haven't come up with a name yet for it, podcast. But when I do, it will be freaking awesome. Maybe you can help me.
That's for this.
Maybe you can help me. Hey. So Mark is the creator and mad genius behind Mental Gremlins comic. And we have Stephen Amell to thank for making sure everybody knows who you were.
Well, I gotta say, after that whole fiasco, I suddenly sprang up like 112 likes. So thanks, Mr. Amell.
There you go. Now you need to draw another Arrow-based comic, and now that he's got like 2 million followers, you need to get him to post another one.
Well, it's funny you should say that because I actually tried to see if lightning would strike twice, and I did a comic strip featuring Manu Bennett and put it on his Facebook, but didn't get the same reaction.
He's not a big Facebooker.
No, he's not. He's on there occasionally, though.
Yeah, he's on. You probably have better luck with Barrowman, John Barrowman.
I just started following him. That's been entertaining.
Well, if he's in season 3, you know there's going to be material there for you to draw with.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think they're going to kill him all.
No, he got signed as a series regular for season 3.
Well, good.
So,
because there was a weird bit where he suddenly started bleeding internally. I'm not sure what was going on with that, but I'm sure they'll explain it to us when they get around to the next season. I hope.
Yeah, well, of course. They'll explain everything in next season. Everything. Did you see the end of season? Yeah, of course. So you saw the end of season 2, right?
Yes.
Okay, the whole Diggle having a kid thing, I'm confused. That kind of feels like it was thrown out there. Like a writer was like, hey, let's do this with Diggle. We haven't done anything with him yet.
Well, and then, oh, by the way, Roy, I've had this mask for you this whole time just in case,
Oh.
But I'm going to let that one go because you saw Green Arrow and Red Arrow in costume, and I'm not going to complain.
Touche with that. So what got you started writing Mental Gremlins? Where did the inspiration for the little critter come from?
The little orange gremlin critter?
Yes, the orange gremlin critter.
That was actually born out of one of my very few serious comic strips, and he's kind of like a visual avatar for any kind of mental illness or mental imbalance, just because people who have that kind of issue understand that. People who haven't experienced it really don't. So when they say, why don't you just snap out of it, it's as preposterous as saying, hey, that thing on your shoulder gnawing you down to the bone, that's bothering people, can you stop?
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I mean, I didn't get as much general feedback on that one, but I did have a couple people message me directly and, actually tell me very personal things, which is really cool that something I did spoke to somebody else, which is still kind of mind-boggling in a way. But, no, I'm glad it was able to connect with somebody besides me, because that's mainly who I draw them for, is I draw things I think are funny.
And I too often think they're funny. Like when I liked every single one of your comics.
Hey, you've been putting the word out, so I appreciate it regardless.
Yeah, I remember seeing that on Amel's page, and I was like, click, like. And I'm like, hi, I'm not an insane stalker. I just like your stuff. Please don't send the cops after me.
I can't send the cops over my biggest fan.
There you go. See, you can't do that. So, have you always drawn, or is that a new thing? Or because I saw the one strip where you were trying to draw very portrait, lifelike, and you're like, screw this, I hate this.
Yeah, that one was kind of because people were saying you should make it more like this, pointing to my thousands of comic books on the wall, and that's what I did. They actually kind of borrowed the basics of Dustin Nguyen, or I don't know how you spell it. He's one of the artists on a couple runs of Batman that I really liked his style. It's kind of very distinctive, but I just sort of, I'll shape it like this, and then just sort of that whole top 3 panels took me about 2.5 hours, and normally I finish a whole comic strip by then. So just
Oh, okay.
kind of proving the point as I'm mocking the point.
You're like, I could draw this way, but I would never get a comic out, and you would suffer.
Yeah. Well, I never finished comic strips. I started when I was in high school, and I had nothing but dispensable time because I sure as hell wasn't doing homework. But as far as the original question, I believe was when did I start drawing? I've always kind of done it when I was a lot younger. I did terrible drawings, but I always would just try and draw whatever I was into at the time, which, ironically enough, was Batman mostly.
Okay.
And I couldn't get action figures, so I'd make little cutout ones out of crayon and paper and just play with those. But I kind of fell out of the whole drawing thing towards my last 2 years of high school, and then for the next 3 or 4 years after that, and just kind of fell back into it when I was working nights at a gas station with nothing to do for 10 hours and no customers.
That's probably safer and less tedious than rearranging and refacing all the stock for the 50th time. Because I've worked retail late at night, and you're like, I can't make this look any prettier. I just can't.
Well, and by that time it's kind of, I could, but I won't. But the whole doing a regular serialized comic strip, that's not even a year-old development. I started getting into my weird sort of surrealistic art. I had a little bit of success with that. I had some local exposure in a really cool local shop called Finders Creepers. It had a gallery in the basement, and they'd have themed shows every month. There was a Stephen King themed show, there was a villain themed show, there was a Big Lebowski themed show, which I wasn't able to make the deadline for, and I'm still kind of kicking myself for that. But I just did a comic strip for my friend Anthony Lebedo, who is actually an amateur comedian.
Okay.
Who's hysterical and bears an uncanny resemblance to Seth Rogen and uses that ironic bit to his advantage.
Okay.
But
okay.
he was working in the same office I was working. He since moved to New York to pursue his career, but he was jamming out to something, and I asked him what he's listening to, and he says, "I'm not telling you." Why not? I said, "Because it's Lady Gaga." Are you kidding? He said, "Don't judge me." I said, No. I have a powdered wig on my head and a gavel in my hand, and I am judging you. And that image kind of made me laugh, so I just went home and sketched it up. I listened to Lady Gaga. Quit it. You're judging me. Cut back. We got the actual robe and the wig and the hammer. No, I'm not.
Well, oddly enough, I remember when I first started hearing Lady Gaga, and I was like, really? Another poppy sort of thing. But then when she came out with that song Nebraska, when she got really bluesy, it's off of her, not the new album Pop Show or Pop Art, whatever it is, but the one before that, when she actually sings and it isn't pop, she's amazing. She's
a ridiculously talented piano player too.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing.
Yeah.
Didn't make money.
Well, if there's a video with her when Tony Bennett did his new album with all these guest artists, her and Tony Bennett did a version of The Lady is a Tramp.
Nice.
And it's amazing. And you can tell that's when I was like, okay, she's actually a legit singer and a legit performer when I saw that video. Because she's just okay, she's got the characterization, she's all into it. And you can tell if she had if there was a chance for her to get into that type of realm, doing musicals, she probably would. I think she's just kind of happy with what she's doing now. But I could see her doing musicals. She's got the voice for it if she ever wanted to.
Yeah. And I guess that's kind of, the petty narcissist in me just kind of goes, see, and you're talented and you're squandering it away for fame. But I wouldn't do the exact same thing given the opportunity. And I would. That's the honest truth. Anybody. It's easy for me to sit here in my basement, Iowa, going, you're criticizing your artistic integrity. Whatever the hell that even means.
Well, the same thing happened with Pink, because she put out a couple albums that were kind of icky, very poppy and just kind of Coca-Cola random pop. And then after she did her 3-album contract, was like, okay, my contract's done. Now I'm going to do what I want to do. And her whole style changed. So I wonder
what she's released recently. It's listenable. I mean, that's not my style of music. I'm into all the fast, angry metal stuff or symphonic, or it's actually just a lot of really random stuff. But even if it's not my style of music, I can appreciate quality, which
Yeah.
what she's been releasing lately is.
Right, right, yeah. And I think everybody, at some point, like I've got my little books I'm trying to get out there in the world and sell, and romance sells really good. And I'm just like, oh, but I hate romance, but I could write one, but I hate romance.
You could do it. You could do it ironically.
I could do it ironically. Well, there was a thing about Amazon where they were talking about people making money off of writing monster porn.
Well, if some lady changed the names of the characters in her Twilight fan fiction and sell millions of copies, which just boggles my mind. And then the kind of people I see reading this book, and you realize you're basically just reading pornography. No, it's not. No, it's yeah.
That's okay. I'm on Wattpad, and this lady wrote a One Direction band fan fiction. That,
oh dear.
Oh wait, it got a movie deal.
Why?
Well, she wrote one that was like PG, and then she wrote one that was R-rated, and somehow the R-rated one got picked up. I kind of almost like threw my keyboard at the wall at that point. I'm just like, I quit.
Yeah, that was a very understated version of my reaction when I heard they cast Ben Affleck as Batman.
I noticed there's walls still standing, so it shouldn't. Perhaps you had we're slightly okay with it.
Well, my younger sister was there, and apparently she told my older sister about it because somebody had texted it to me, and of course I said bullshit, and then they sent me the article, and so apparently she told my older sister, it was really weird. He threw his phone, and then he just stormed outside and didn't come back in for like 20 minutes. I'm trying to keep an open mind, but that's the last thing anybody wants to hear. Your favorite character of all time is being played by Ben Affleck. Oh, God damn it, why? I'm holding a wait-and-see attitude, but I don't have high hopes for this upcoming one. But trying to look at it as an optimist. As an optimist, I got 3 fantastic Batman movies, and I still have Arrow to watch, and now The Flash is coming, and not to mention Constantine as well, which I'm pretty stoked about.
Yeah, the preview for that looked amazing. I've never read the comic books. I've just seen the Keanu Reeves movie, so that's the only reason I know about Constantine, so don't kill me.
I didn't know who Constantine was beyond the movie until I started getting a ridiculous amount of comic books.
Okay.
You're portable, so...
Yay, I'm portable. Oh, geez. That's all Constantine?
Well, those are all comics.
Okay.
There's not much Constantine. There's Constantine the New 52, but the original version is called Hellblazer, and I've started picking those up too.
Okay.
Sandman, which also is getting a movie deal, which is pretty sweet.
Nice. So now you said that you still are, a Batman fan, but you've kind of gone into other comics. Like what would you say is like your influence or the comic that you're really interested in now, or TV show or whatever?
Just general media consumption. What's really, fit my taste palette at the moment. I really, really was getting into this most recent season of NBC's Hannibal.
Yeah, I saw your posts.
Which I'm not much of a horror fan, but I love sort of psychological thrillers because something that's a frightening idea is way more potent than something jumping out at you.
Right.
Anymore, it's getting so predictable. It's like, okay, that's going to happen then. This is going to happen now. Camera's panning to the left. That means somebody's coming up from behind him on the right, so on and so forth. But I love the original Hopkins films, even Hannibal, which was meh.
Right.
And when I heard they were making a TV show out of it, I'm like, don't do that. Don't soil a classic by serializing it. And I was really, really wrong.
Okay.
And I've even gone on record saying I actually like this actor a little bit more than Hopkins. I still love Hopkins.
Right.
But this version, his was very kind of flamboyant, verbose, and kind of almost like a Bond villain. This one's so underplayed, you can actually buy that a straight-up homicidal psychopath could hide in plain sight like that.
So, I mean, because the only kind of show I've seen that I can kind of relate to Hannibal in my head is Dexter, because I haven't watched Hannibal, but I did watch some of Dexter. So, I mean, is it kind of on par with the Dexter world?
It's a lot better than
A lot
Dexter.
better. Okay, yeah, I only watched like a little bit of the first couple seasons of Dexter. So,
After season 4, it went downhill. And season 4, while it was fantastic, I can never watch it again. It's one of those things where if you're ever watching something that what's happening on TV is so awkward, you feel uncomfortable. The whole season's like that, and I can't look at John Lithgow the same ever again.
oh, okay, yeah, I saw a couple of those episodes, and they were very, odd. You're just like, whoa, wait, what? Sort of like when Robin Williams played the serial killer, or not, but when Robin Williams did 1 Hour Photo.
I have deliberately not watched that.
Oh, you should.
Oh, I'm trying to get the courage to have my vision of that man warped beyond repair, because that's happened to me with a couple of actors. Sometimes it's been good, other times it's like, no, I can't look at you the same way ever again now.
The genie went wrong.
Well, my dad loves Robin Williams, so I've seen literally like everything he's probably been in.
Oh, cool. So other than writing, what other like kind of creative outlets do you have?
Well, I used to play music, not very well. I still do on occasion and remind myself how bad I actually am at it. But I'm an avid consumer of music. I love listening to it. I love dissecting it. I love just kind of picking it apart. And the problem is my tastes are up here. My skill level's about here. So what I want to play and what I can physically play, yeah. And I'm almost 30. I'm not a teenager being in random bands with all my friends anymore. But so there's that, and then film, animation. Really, pretty much anything I watch, I just have to obsessively pick it apart.
Okay.
Like those extended editions of Lord of the Rings with like the 4 discs of special features. I've watched everything on there so many times.
Oh yeah, I'm the type of person when the director's cut of that came out with the cast commentary, I would watch it repeatedly with the cast commentary.
The cast commentary is hilarious.
Because it was awesome. Yeah. If you were like, why are you... I'm like, because it's funny. And it's cool to get, like, kind of... I'm a big behind-the-scenes person, too. Like, I'll sit there and watch it, and then I'm like, well, how did they do that? You know, how did this come together? And something like Lord of the Rings with the intense amount of special effects, and it took them, 9 years to film the 3 of them? Or close to that? It's almost a decade, I think. It's pretty close.
Well, as far as the whole production, I think for actual principal photography, it was like a 1.5 year straight shoot. And movie shoot is like 3 to 4 months.
Yeah, so it was pretty intense. So just finding out like how all that came together just blows my mind. You know, I'm always into how does this all work? Which kind of, in a way it's fun, but in a way it kind of backfires on you when you're starting to watch other things and you're thinking behind the scenes while you're in the movie and then going, oh, but no, this couldn't go this way. And you're like picking it apart while you're watching it.
Yeah, this movie did this kind of trick better, or they're just copying Chris from this movie.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm not fun to watch TV with or movies with apparently because I'll just sit there. Now you see what they're doing here, blah 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 blah. It's like Sheldon in the Sheldon commentary. Just put it on mute. But it gives me a lot of good material for comic strips later on, particularly popular culture in general. Now that geek and nerd culture things are a big deal now, I can make fun of them and people will understand it.
Exactly. Do you ever think you'd do like an animated version of Mental Gremlins or like a different comic that is more animated?
I've thought about it. That would involve me learning the jump from practical to digital as far as art, which I've resisted heavily because I deem it cheating, or not cheating, but I don't know.
Okay.
When you're doing it on the pad, it's so much easier to just correct mistakes, make everything geometrically perfect, everything's completely colored, just one click of a button. Like, you don't get any fun of having the paper there, the pencils, the markers, just kind of, part of the fun is taking your screw-ups and fixing them somehow.
Right.
Eventually, if I did, though, animation would be fun.
Okay.
it's also very time consuming because, of course, I've watched every different way there is to do it.
Mm-hmm.
It takes time, and I have a horrible attention span.
I think because I did photography for a while, and I didn't really do a lot of film photography. I got into it when, with digital, but I had a friend who is very much of a film is all there is to it. And I can see how digital makes you a lazy photographer in a way, because you don't have to, especially now, I mean, on your phone, you can crop it and do everything in an app. And you could take the picture and fix it before it even goes anywhere. So I understand your point where you're like, well, digital's kind of cheating because it's like, it's easier to kind of flub it, I guess. Because, with a digital camera, you can take a horrible picture, you can put it in Photoshop and make it look like something completely different than it was. And people are like, oh, that's an amazing picture. And then I look at the original, and then I look at the end result. I'm like, but that wasn't the picture they took. That was the picture they create. And I mean, far be it for me, Photoshop is a beast. I could never do Photoshop. It's too big of a program. I use like a cheap $40 editing program. But it started to bother me when people were like, oh, well, I did this amazing photo. I'm like, no, you use the photo as a base, and everything else that came out of that is no longer photography. See, it's like you kind of started getting this weird, almost broadening of the term photography, because like there's like, well, this is photography. Well, yeah, no, not really. Because I mean, I saw people that would post before and afters, and their before it's like horrible lighting, everything's in shadow, it's a white wall with stains on it. After, it's a forest with perfect lighting. I'm like, guys, this is not photography,
Well, and actually, watching some of the special featurettes on The Hobbit, I kind of had that same issue, realizing how much they digitally painted in. Like, it was nowhere near, but getting slightly reminiscent of George Lucas territory. It's like, don't do that. I mean, there were still practical sets, but any kind of like skyline or horizon or anything, beyond 5 feet from where they were standing, it's all painted in. Mm-hmm. Which I understand, most of those places don't exist, but at the same time, don't get comfortable and just do it because it's easy.
Well, but then on the practical standpoint, though, with TV, like Arrow, for an example, the green screen is like a blessing for them, because they can do the explosions and they can do these crazy like special effects. So it's one of those things of like, well, how are you using it? Like Lucas just adding in critters to add in critters because he freaking felt like it and needed to re-release another Star Wars movie. He needed to be shot for that. But when you're using it, I think when you're using it in a way to better something that you wouldn't have been able to do without it, like how TV is. I mean, I seriously call Arrow cinematic quality TV.
It is. I can regularly impressed by the production value, especially for television. I mean, I've seen some movies with worse production quality than that. So, no, it took me a while to get into it because the first couple episodes were very much Batman Begins with Green Arrow. Come on, it was.
Yeah,
I mean, I didn't care, but it was. But they've kind of, but hey, I listened to one of the podcasts I listened to that talks about it. Whenever they point out that they say, but hey, power to them, if they're going to copy, at least they're copying from the best.
True.
But how seamlessly they've kind of gone it from this gritty realism sense, in very much in the Nolan sense, to a place where you've got metahumans and friggin' speedsters, and it doesn't feel left field out of nowhere. Like, I was impressed with how well they were able to pull that in there, even though the super soldier serum thing came out of nowhere, but it was crafted well to come out of nowhere.
Yeah, well, they needed something. I mean, he needed something. But I think what always amazes me with Arrow, beside the production value, is how they keep track of their timelines.
That is very true, and they keep on jumping all over it, but it's apparent.
Well, what I was actually thinking the other night, because Stephen Amell's out here for Comic-Con this week. Woo! I'm going to get my picture. But I was thinking, because I was kind of reviewing, I started rewatching season 1 again, and it's kind of interesting because it's season 1, Oliver, present time Oliver, starts out very predatory, very primal, and by the end of season 2, he's becoming more human. You know, he's trying to get that humanity back. But in the flashbacks, it's the complete opposite. Because he starts out very human as, you know, Playboy Oliver, and then by the end of season 2, he's in Hong Kong with Amanda Waller, and he's got all these skills, and he's killed, or so he thinks, killed Slade. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do at season 3 with the flashbacks, because he's obviously going to be having to learn all of his weapons, skills, and Russian in season 3.
I do like that they took him off the island, because there's only so much you can explain that happened there, and now it feels like it's kind of peaked, and if they stuck around there, it would just start to drag. But
yeah.
Well, no, that, and I don't know, like, I didn't watch much of Smallville beyond a couple episodes because I thought it was really bad. But from people I talked to who were big fans of Smallville said that they would just beat the dead horse to an indistinguishable pulp, proceed to kill a second horse, and then beat that one with dragging things out with no resolution, like how many seasons does so-and-so go without figuring out who Clark is and all that stuff.
Right.
And just when it seems like they're going to pull something like that on Arrow, they don't. Or I sure as hell didn't see Moira getting killed coming at all.
Yeah.
And then they even faked this out like he was going to put the gun away. But then stabbed her, which is worse.
Yeah.
It's just, wow.
I guess I'll have to put spoiler alerts at the beginning of this. If you're not caught up on Arrow, stop right now.
I don't know what I said. What? No.
So, am I going to get my Arrow-influenced one-panel comic?
You absolutely are. I'm just...
Yay!
I got way more interest in that than I thought I was going to. I figured maybe 2-3 people tops, but there's a list. And I wouldn't be satisfied with just, same like 30 minutes to scroll something out. Here you go.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm going to put a lot of thought into it. I asked them what they want me to draw. I'm going to find... I have one from somebody who I don't even know personally, but apparently she got into my comics through my friends. And she wants me to draw her daughter as a superhero.
Nice.
Because they're all about Arrow and Batman right now in 11. So I've been brainstorming just, I had her send me pictures. I'm brainstorming, kick-ass superhero costume ideas.
Nice.
Maybe have Batman and Green Arrow standing over here going, I don't think we should mess with her. Let's go this way kind of thing.
Right. That's cool. Now, I mean, what are you seeing, like, for the future of what you want to do with Mental Gremlins? Is that, since you're getting such big interest with things like the single panel, I mean, is there going to be a Mental Gremlins book come out soon? Or
You're not
T-shirts? I will do an entire wardrobe of Mental Gremlins T-shirts. That will be my whole closet. It will be that and my Knocking Point gear that I'm slowly getting from Stephen Amell's winery.
Nice.
So it'll be Mental Gremlins and Knocking Point. I think that's a good mix. Lots of black and gray.
I'm good with this. I mean, I own every single collection book that Bill Waters never released for Calvin and Hobbes, which if you really want to get down to the root of it, is actually my main influence for doing comic strips. I mean, it's like a weird bastardization of him and Jonan Vasquez. If you're familiar with him at all. Have you seen Invader Zim?
Yes, I think I've seen an episode or I've seen that somewhere. I don't know if you've referenced it, but I remember seeing it. I'm like, no, I don't think it's a cartoon, but I've seen a reference to it, but I'm not real super familiar with it.
It's a cartoon that Nickelodeon aired, which Nickelodeon.
Oh, God, way back. On the Wayback Machine.
And I was just baffled when I found out about it because I knew him for writing books, with titles like Johnny the Homicidal Maniac and this ultra-violent, dark, satirical, just black, hateful humor, which I love the hell out of, and his art style was just so bizarrely twisted. Like, I have everything he's ever released, and it's in horrible condition because I read it so much.
Nice.
But mainly just kind of, tone and look is definitely more Vasquez. But as far as structure, definitely Calvin and Hobbes, because he could tell some of the most potently crafted stories with no dialogue at all.
Right.
Like a 20-page thing you see that, and it's hysterical, and you don't need dialogue. Like, dialogue would make it less funny because the animations, or drawings rather, just said everything for the expressions, especially. I try and get a lot of those really just bizarre, ridiculous expressions into my drawings, and doesn't always come out the way I wanted to, but there are times where I'll just have to stop because I'm making myself laugh with the ridiculous face I've drawn. Somebody that I know making. Because everybody wants to be in a comic strip. So,
right.
And, I want to make sure that they're relevant to the joke instead of just randomly putting them in there like props, which I'm sure they'd be fine with, but me being a perfectionist, I can't stand to do it half-assed.
Right.
I did have an idea of just like drawing like 10 people who you have to keep hounding me, who I have no ideas for, just going, it's like, okay, there's you, you're in my comic. I still might. I mean, I've got a lot of ideas, but I'm also really lazy.
Well, taking that concept of 10 random people, you could just always have extras in each strip. Like have your main characters or your main joke, and then just put somebody like peeking in from the corner or like, giving you a cup of coffee or something and be like, hi, you're in my strip. You didn't say you had to do anything. You just said you wanted in the strip.
It's actually not a bad idea.
You're welcome. I want credit for that somewhere.
Credit will be given. I mean, I already did one, just making one for the sole point of insulting my friend. So, I mean, hey.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of fun though, especially if you have a lot of people that are, they don't necessarily want to have you do this single panel strip, but they want to be somewhere in the strip. Just see like, here's just some like random. If it, even like if it's a couple, like two friends that are in a relationship, have them in the background kissing while something's going on in the foreground.
I did do one of those about a couple that are friends of mine, and it was kind of, I always asked before, just because,
right?
And I was actually kind of like nervous about showing it to him because I got really weird with some of the expressions, but it was the whole thing. They've been together since they were in high school.
Okay.
So they're, but it was him presenting her with some roses. He was like, yeah, now you can put them into a glass of water and put them by the window and watch them die. She's kind of had this expression like because I love you. Think about it, not so much. But apparently they thought it was friggin' hysterical, so. I've since gotten over that. They're like, they gave me permission, so I'll do whatever I want. So, not to be just for the sake of being evil, but.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Like, just because I can draw you doing something horrible doesn't mean I will, but I may make you the butt of a joke or two.
Right.
But
well,
again,
I think people are familiar enough with your style now that they know if they're going to be in your comic, there's going to be some sort of twisted, odd humor involved in the comic, so just shut up and take it.
I would hope they'd know that by now. At least every other day, somebody's, I'll say something. That's kind of messed up. Hi, I'm Mark. Have you met me? Sorry. You should know by now. I mean, I adjust it, according to the environment, but still. There's a reason.
I still love the one where you're talking about the school that put the one with the exploding head in it, but they were not okay with the cussing. I was just like, that sounds about right for American society. For God forbid you say fuck, but exploding heads we're good with. We're good with that.
Oh, they did that one, and the semester before that they printed one. I even did an edited version where it was just but they printed the full 6-panel one where I essentially am drilling into a kid's skull with a power drill to illustrate the difference between a headache and a migraine. Yeah, and they printed it. Like, I did an edited one where I just slammed his head to the table. How's your headache? Oh, shut up. Wasn't as funny. It's not to me. No, they did the whole thing. And then, but one I had submitted a couple weeks before because I ran out of time, so I used one of my stock ones. I completely forgotten. It was the one where Admiral Akbar slaps me for trying to accept a Candy Crush invite, but it just barely even legible on the top of the screen. It didn't say Facebook. It said Facebook. I don't know if you want me to swear or not.
Oh, you go ahead.
Okay. It said fuck Facebook.
Right.
No, like, it's not face, it's fuck face. I completely forgot about it. And they're like, yeah, you said fuck in this, man. We're going to have to copy that. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot all about that. But they let me get away with drilling into somebody's skull. So the next one I gave them was literally me just having a phone conversation. Hey, they pulled your strip. Why? Was it decapitation? No. Evisceration? No. Oh, was it I chopped that dude apart and played croquet with his severed leg and head? No. You said fuck in the fourth panel. I'm telling you, where you can't get away with that. And they printed that in the paper. Although the editor did text me say, okay, so was that just sort of, general commentary, or were you poking fun at us? A little bit of both.
You're like, what answer? What? Yeah, okay, we'll say both. That's the safe answer.
Well, it's a college campus. It's not like I'm printing this in, elementary school paper. But no foul language. Not even though you can't go a single square inch on the campus without hearing it. But deny.
Deny. Right? That can't happen? That can't happen. So, like, ideally, what forum or form do you think would work best to have Mental Gremlins, like, out there more, other than your Facebook page? Like, are you thinking, I mean, if you got a chance to do, like I said, like an animated version or books or even something like YouTube where you just have, like, a string of comics going together or something like that? I mean, is there somewhere that you're seeing would ideally work well for getting Mental Gremlins or that type of strip out there? Because I mean, with newspapers kind of fading off into the distance, I mean, I see, because I don't know if you saw I have that Patreon page now, and I see people that are writing comics and stuff are on there, and they're doing like web comics, and they're, hey, if you like me, support me, and that people can support however they want to do it, like monthly or by strip or something like that. I mean, you think that's kind of where you'd like to go, like putting it out there for people to kind of pay to play sort of setup, or?
It's not a bad idea. Mm-hmm. I mean, I honestly just do it as a hobby.
Right.
But if I could, make money off of it, absolutely would have no issue with that at all. But I mean, somebody told me to try Tumblr. That didn't really go well for me. I put them up on my DeviantArt page every now and then, but there's not a whole lot of feedback there either. Honestly, the best source of distribution I've found so far is Facebook.
It's Facebook,
which makes sense, but at the same time, it seems awfully generic because everybody's got a page for something.
Right.
I mean, it's put me in contact with some extremely, well-networked people. I mean, look what I'm doing right now. So, God bless the internet, because when I was scrawling out these kind of weird things in high school, the only people who saw it were people who sat behind me. What are you doing? Can I read that? And the stuff I did back then was horrible.
Right.
It wasn't funny. It was angsty, goth kid, morbid. The world hates me, so I'm going to make it all blah. It's ridiculous. I mean, it still had sort of weird, just more random, spontaneous, and senseless humor, just stuff that didn't make any kind of coherent sense, which I seem to think was funny for some reason. I don't know. But
well, now it's the more mature, well-aged version of the angsty goth kid.
That would be very much what I'm doing now. I mean, almost 30, still have long hair, face full of metal, and
it's okay. It's okay though. That's okay now. That's you're safe there, because all the goths and nerds grew up and went, hey, we have money and we're kind of cool now. Look at Comic-Con.
I really want to go to just any Comic-Con. But there's really none around here in the Midwest. I mean, there's local ones, but it's very, very small draw. Not like, well, definitely not like the one famous people don't come to them. There you go.
Well, okay, but honestly, Phoenix Comic-Con has been around about, I think, 10 years, and it's just in the last couple of years. This is my first year I've actually officially gone to go to Comic-Con. I've gone a couple of times as a photographer for people who were doing stuff in Comic-Con. Like, I knew some people who did the Maid Cafe, and they're like, we want pictures. It's like, cool, get me in for free, and it worked. I went, did my photos, and left, but this is the first time I'm going, like, as a Comic-Con consumer. But it's really taken off the last couple of years. I mean, it's a huge 4-day con. We've got everybody coming, which is really awesome. So I think eventually it'll get to where, like, San Diego Comic-Con is, as far as, like, numbers of people coming. I think they're expecting some ridiculous amount of people. I mean, Amel sold out already his first photo op. He had to add one Friday night because he's actually coming a day early because he's one of the few people that sold out. I'm like, yeah, because you're popular and you're hot and your show's good and you're hot. But
yeah. Well, that is just a really like legitimately cool guy.
He is. That's kind of, I think, what I've been talking to a couple people about the whole concept of social media and people be getting their own fan base within their show. Because like Amel, especially with him, because he's still kind of a new actor. Losing a contact there? You guys are
yep.
I know that look.
At one moment.
Not a problem.
Where the hell it is? Son of a bitch. There.
There you go.
One moment. Slid right off the side. Okay. We're good.
But, with Amel, I mean, he's got 2 million people almost that are following him. He's got a portable fan base. I mean, any show he's because of that, I think he's made his own brand. It's not I'm in Arrow. It's I'm Stephen Amell, and when Arrow eventually goes off the air, hopefully not anytime soon, but he comes with that when he goes to another audition or something like, yeah, I'm Stephen Amell, and I've got these people that love me, so you really want to put me in your show. You really, really do. And I mean, same thing with the Supernatural guys. If that show ever ends, ever, which I'm waiting for God to come in season 10 because that's the only character they haven't had at this point is God. I'm like, Castiel is God. Come on, this has got to happen.
You're gonna hate me, but
yes,
never watched Supernatural.
It's okay. You're allowed. It's okay. I didn't get into it till last year, so it's okay.
I watched one episode and it really didn't. I was told I need to watch more, but I guess I was kind of underwhelmed by Jensen Ackles.
Okay.
Because I was a fan of him from his voice work on Under the Red Hood.
Okay.
I figure if he's this intense in voice alone, which is normally a quality reserved for voice actors, figured, okay, let's see how it does in here. And he's not bad. It's just kind of, where did all the... Maybe it's just the nature of the show.
Did you watch one of the earlier seasons, like a season 1 or 2?
I watched
episode?
2 episodes of season 1.
Oh yeah, okay. He definitely gains intensity as the show goes on, because it becomes much more of a darker show in a lot of aspects. Like season 1 is kind of Monster of the Week, and then they start laying the plot for the family legacy of what the Winchesters have to deal with. By like season 5 or 6, Dean's just like super intense guy. And so yeah, it definitely evolves as a show. I think it was one of those things where they were just like, we have this cool idea, let's see where it goes, and they built up steam with it, and then it just kind of took off into its own interesting realm. I have learned though to not listen to anybody that types on their fan page, because everybody was bitching about seasons like 6 through 8 how they were horrible, and I've watched them all now. They're like, we want the happy brothers back. I'm like, the brothers were never happy. I don't know what show you were watching. They always had fights. They were never happy, cheery people. So
that's where the internet is a double-edged sword.
Yes.
Just kind of, with the rise in just the ability to access people so easily, and with general anonymity and just being anonymous.
Right.
Everybody's a critic, and I swear to God, a critic used to mean that you watch a movie, you dissect it, you find the pros and cons. Now it's, I'm going to find every single reason I possibly can is why this movie sucks, and I'm smarter than everybody else who likes it. Just kind of, just why? What are your credentials?
Is that something that, like, since you have a creative outlet on the interweb now, is that something that kind of, like, concerns you a little bit? Or are you kind of like, hey, this is my shit, if you don't like it, you don't have to click on it kind of person?
Very much that second one. Okay. Although I haven't gotten any kind of negative... Okay, that's not entirely true. I got some negative feedback on DeviantArt, but it was from a bunch of teenagers, and they didn't like that I was bashing on Bitstrips, calling it a hack cheat. And they were trying to argue with me, mainly because they used Bitstrips and I made them feel bad for it. But I mean, I retorted. Wasn't rude. I wasn't derisive. I said, "This is why I feel this way." Mm-hmm. And somebody said, "It seems like a lot of trouble to go through just to bash on something." And I said, "It's not me just taking a cheap bash. This is me expressing myself through a healthy outlet. You don't have to agree with it."
Right.
But honestly, I haven't gotten. I mean, some of the stuff I've put on there is pretty. I mean, there was a implication of storing. What? Can't think of her name now. Of course, that's just one. The chick from Mad Men.
Oh yeah. I think I remember that one. Okay.
Yeah, storing her in the freezer, which that was me kind of testing the waters because certain people were saying how much they like my comics. I'm like, I wonder what will happen if I do this.
Right.
They still thought it was funny. Like, wow, really? Okay.
Well, I think the sub, like how you draw your comics and the style, people are going to pick up pretty quick what it is, and I found I think I found that sometimes the snarkier you are in your creative outlet, the less crap you get, because people are like, oh, they're kind of smart and snarky, and I'm not going to win this fight. It's just like I come from a history of being on political blogs for a couple of years. And I've learned to travel in shark-infested waters on the internet quite a bit. So it's if you can come back with an intelligent reply that people realize, hey, and it's intelligent but not angry, it tends to back people off, or they go and they run away.
So that's more or less the way. Normally, I don't even engage argument on that, which is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. The one exception I did that was some juggalo ICP idiot was telling me in all seriousness that all Heath Ledger did was rip off Insane Clown Posse.
Oh, jeez.
That was I couldn't ignore that. But for the most part, just don't engage. Or if they're willing to have a regular discussion with me and discuss points, happy to listen. But if it just turns into a insult fest and just immediate low blows, it just kind of, what's the point of this?
Right.
Really, I'm going to go over here now.
Right.
No, I'm actually kind of hoping for some hecklers. I mean, I think it would just spice things up a bit. There was a point in time I was briefly considering that, I don't know if you saw the Kevin Smith theme comic strip. I actually got 10 people unlike my page because of it. I was going to put it on his Facebook page, but decided not to because, a friend of mine, former boss, but good friend, said, you don't want your exposure that way. You don't be known for the guy who makes fun of other people. Just be known as the guy who does what you do. Mm-hmm. And knowing the nature of Kevin Smith's fans, which is they're just as obnoxious as I find him, that would just be essentially spray painting a target on my forehead.
Right.
And shouting, "Come at me," which that's okay.
Well, I'll create some sock puppet Facebook accounts and heckle you if that'll help you.
That would actually amuse the hell out of me.
You suck, Mark. I hate you.
I'm sorry you feel that way, Sock Puppet.
I'll actually name it Sock Puppet, just so you know. Okay.
That's fantastic.
Heckler 1, Heckler 2. It could
have
happen.
my Statler and Moldorf. That's fantastic.
Well, are you gonna because you're out of school for the summer, right? Are you summer break? So are you gonna be doing trying to get more like a regular Mental Gremlins every 2 weeks out, or?
That was my original intention, was to do them every 2 weeks. That kind of faded out quick because I'm sure other artists have the same problem where finding time to do it is one thing, but finding time that actually coincides with inspiration, that's something completely different. Usually, when I really feel like drawing something and an idea strikes me, I'm in the middle of a 4 to 10 hour shift at work. By the time I get home, I don't want to do anything.
Right, okay.
Which is case in point, when I'm at home and I do feel like drawing, I usually jump on that because there's nothing more frustrating than sitting at my table for an hour to 2 hours, sketching, erasing, and finally just throwing it away because it's not working.
Okay.
But now that I don't have school to keep on top of, my original intention was, to try and... I had a couple ideas. I mean, there's the single panels, which might take up a lot of my time already, but nobody's everybody's been really cool about it. Just kind of, no rush. Just, when you have time to get to it. Which, I mean, because I'm not. Somebody told me I should set up like an Etsy shop, but then you've got like official transactions going there, paying for something that I haven't produced yet, which I don't feel comfortable with at all. I figure just kind of doing it on the download, just hey, if you want one, let me know.
And PayPal or something. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. I mean, weekly or even bi-weekly. I mean, I have enough ideas to do them weekly. Just they take a while to draw. And then my horrible editing, which is literally cutting out the comic, putting it into the scanner, scanning it, opening it up in Paint, and then making word bubbles because my handwriting is atrocious.
That's cool.
I'm sure there are actual proper programs for it, but I don't know what they are, and I don't know how to use
them. Corel's really easy, actually. Corel's kind of easy. I don't know. I've never used Paint. I use Corel Paint Shop Pro. You can get it for like $40. It's a photo editing program, but anything that's a JPEG, and then you can just put text right on there. And you can scan it in, upload it as a JPEG, and put the text right in there. And it's super easy peasy because it's actually like designed for that and stuff.
I might have to look into this.
Well, and the other thing you can do too, because it's a photo editing program, you can upload several of your comics and then put them on like one panel. So if you wanted to do something like with the individual ones where if you're like, okay, well, I don't have a mental gremlin strip, but here's 6 individual panels for people that I've that I've drawn. Here you go. And you can put them up that way and make it like a panel. So that, there you go. But I mean, Paint Shop Pro is like $40. And it's really intuitive. It's really easy to figure out. So that's what I use for all my photo. That's what I use for all my photo editing.
Paint Shop Pro.
Yeah. I'll send it to you on Facebook. Did you see my new book covers, the newer ones that I've done with the eyes?
I'm really liking of course, I don't have them in front of me, so I can't pick them up, but I like how it's kind of just been, you've got a theme going, but you're kind of just playing with different ideas, and I've been enjoying watching the progress.
Yeah, I did all that in Paint Shop Pro.
Really?
Because I have the photos I've taken, and those are models that I've shot. And then I crop their eyes out, and then I've been finding ways to make their eyes different because the eyes are actually, that's how my characters are described in the book with the eyes because, they're paranormal and have special abilities and all that. So that's actually how the characters' eyes look in the story, so that's why I've been putting them as book covers. So.
I really do just set aside like an hour and read through that story properly. I'm claiming I haven't done more than skim over it, but it's hard to find time to sit and read.
I'm 12 chapters into book 2 of Honorbound, the series, so catch up. You're slacking.
Did I ever send you a finished copy of my story? Did I ever just send you that?
You sent me the little one for the editing that I shot back at you with the ideas. You never sent me the finished one.
I'll have to fix that.
Yeah.
I think it turned out all right, considering that's like my first foray into writing any kind of story.
Right.
So the ending is incredibly depressing, so we'll get your thought on that.
I think books that have depressing endings, I think, can be good in their own way, or stories that don't have happy endings, which is once again why one of the reasons I can't stand romance books, because it's like, really? Can one of them kill the other and just get like horrible, painful death somewhere?
Funny you should say that, because that's sort of what I did. Not quite, but it started out as kind of a quirky 2 characters kind of, hitting it off, and then something out of left field and horrible happens.
This does not surprise me. I do read your comic strips.
I always said that I wanted to make a romantic comedy. I got the idea from being forced to watch that stupid movie Knocked Up. I mean, It was funny, but you're generic.
Right,
but
right.
Something occurred to me as they were, the final shot is they're driving home from the hospital with the baby, and they're shooting everything in the car from all the angles. And I just had this horribly terrible idea of how great would it be if I made your typical romantic comedy, quirky guy, quirky girl, come across paths, forge a relationship, something goes wrong, they split up, they get back together, and they reconcile. And as they're driving off the distance, happily ever after, shooting the same way, semi truck comes, plows over them, they're both dead, end of the movie.
I would pay to see that.
I mean, it would probably like be dropped from theaters within a week, but come on.
Honey, there's this thing called web series now.
I need to get in on that. My stubbornness to get up to date with technology is actually starting to hurt me.
You know, and this is something that the Arrow crew touches on, but a lot of artistic types are touching on it lately, is how inexpensive it really is to do crazy stuff, to have independent people do amazing things, like amazing films. It's gotten so inexpensive now. I mean, a GoPro camera and a film editing software, and you can make a documentary that looks just as good as something, you know, a motion picture company would put out. When I found out they were using the Canon 5D Mark II cameras, which are professional still cameras, which you can record video with, but they're little cameras. They're like, you know, this big. They've been using those on TV shows. They used them on House, and they used them on other shows instead of the big Uber cameras, because the technology and the quality of the smaller cameras has gotten so good that they can actually shoot with those and put them on a TV show and no one notices a difference. It's just incredible what people can do in their home. And that's kind of one thing I'm finding cool with, like, looking through the Patreon pages or just YouTube, is seeing the quality of things that people can come out with now that the technology is and the software is so easily obtainable. You know, it's very, I think, freeing in a lot of ways, but at the same time, it also makes it hard if you're independent, because there's 5 billion other people out there that are independent now, and you're just like, but I'm cooler than, okay, maybe not.
There is a very large group of people that I regularly follow on YouTube because they, you know, produce such. Well, and the funny thing is, a lot of them have gotten like sponsorship just from what they've done. There's a kid named Forrest who, since he was before, his earlier videos are really not that great, but he makes stop motion Lego animation.
Oh, nice.
And
Okay.
he does these Batman movies, which, like I said, the first few are really shaky. He was really just kind of coming into it, but what he does now is so freaking ridiculously fantastic. And I know how much work stop motion is. And plus it's hysterical. He has the first one I ever saw, my brother found. And it was all done with Legos, and it was Batman having to take on both the Mark Hamill Joker and the Heath Ledger Joker. You just have those two very decent impressionists doing the voices, just arguing with each other the whole time. It was fantastic. And then to beat them, they got Robin built a interdimensional portal, and he brought over a Christian Bale Batman who just screamed incoherently and beat the hell out of everybody. Just pretty much Christian Bale Batman in a nutshell.
Like, wait, I'm going to get back up. Okay, thanks.
Pretty much.
Let me get the bigger, tougher version of me.
Well, and there's all kinds of great stuff out there now. Just I've seen so many people doing fantastic animations. If you haven't looked into the How It Should Have Ended cartoons, you really should, because they're fantastic.
Okay.
And they basically, anytime a popular movie comes out, new or even like one that's been out for a while, this guy does these animations. He does it all himself, and it's basically does animated versions of more plausible endings for the movie, or just more amusing ones. Yeah. Some of them have just killed me, because every time they do a superhero one, it always ends with Batman and Superman, and whatever superhero movie it is, they're on the cafe just arguing with each other.
Which is how that relationship probably would actually be in real life.
That is exactly how it is. And with all the comics you read, that's how it is. How they're going to do it in the movie, who knows?
That's, I think, the other thing that concerns me with the Batman and Superman movie. It's just like, if they don't have them be somewhat adversarial, it's just not going to work, because they admittedly they're both going for the same end goal, but their personalities are so radically, polar opposites.
Oh yeah,
it's like you can't have no, because like any cartoon or comic book I've seen with the two of them in it, I mean, there's that respect and everything, and they obviously care about each other and trying to keep each other alive. But at the same time, there's always that like, like, come on, stop it, Boy Scout, So That's kind of hard to pull off if you don't have the right people and the right writers to pull that off.
And considering the changing people and writers, it does inspire a lot of confidence. Although, I'm still going to see it. I can't act like I'm not going to. If I at least get to see Superman kick the hell out of Batman in a movie, that will at least be satisfactory.
Awesome. And on that note, but I want to thank you for joining me.
Absolutely.
When do you think you're gonna have a comic up? Because I will post a possible comic appearing at this time on my page, so people know to check Mental Gremlin's page out.
I did just put one up last night.
I did see that, I think.
And also there's a couple other ones I have that I'm probably going to start working on. So there should be another one out with, well, I am going out of town over the weekend. Probably by sometime middle of next week.
Okay. I will put I'll put your link on my blog and say, and watch here for updates or something like that. I'll link it on my blog or something when you put the new one up.
And I'll try and be better about being consistent with when I say I'm going to update.
And I'm on Wattpad, that website where there's millions of people writing stories, and 90% of them are teenagers writing One Direction fan fictions. But anyway, but okay, maybe 70%. But they do have a point in that when you start getting a fan base there, if you kind of set, if people are expecting stuff to be up at a certain time, it's like kind of gives you that motivation. I was doing pretty well with being motivated. Now I have a deadline to try to get book 2 done by the end of this month, June, because I'm doing a blog tour, my first ever blog tour, July 15th. So basically I paid somebody to go and find like up to 8 different blogs that they're going to post a whole bunch of my information on, and I get to do interviews and stuff. So a way to get my book out. So I want to have book 2 done so then I can be like, buy both of them, not just one, but 2.
Well, I mean, been following your progress, it looks like you're getting some solid work done, at least consistently.
I try. We'll have to challenge each other. Be like, all right, I'm gonna get 4 chapters done, and you get a comic done in this frame of time.
Last one to finish loses.
Well, thank you for joining me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, and I'll let me know if you get a lot of hits or stuff to your page after I post this, because I'm going to post it on my Facebook page, on my blog, and my Patreon page. So you will be everywhere.
Fantastic. I will let you know.
And then, just cross-post it to your page so people can see your cool interview. Hopefully it looks amazing. So, but anyway, I bid you a good night, and I will talk to you later, okay? Thanks so much.
Thank you.
All right, bye.